President Trump's positive COVID-19 diagnosis is forcing his campaign advisors to rethink reelection strategies. The president's campaign staff has had to cancel upcoming rallies and high donor fundraisers. Some predict that the focus of the campaign will now completely shift to the coronavirus pandemic and Mr. Trump's handling of it. The president has already been scrutinized by some top GOP donors for how he's dealt with the crisis. Dan Eberhart is a GOP donor and CEO of Canary Drilling Services, and he joins me now. Dan, the president attended a fundraiser in New Jersey Thursday after the administration learned that his aide, Hope Hicks, had been diagnosed with coronavirus. You called that decision reckless. Tell us why.
Yes, I think that decision was reckless. Absolutely, we should have had the fundraiser, and I understand why needing the fundraiser, was a big deal. But I just thought that as abundance of precaution, since the president knew Hope Hicks had tested positive and she was in his vicinity, early, often, and frequently, that he should have either, sent a surrogate, sent Pence, or sent someone from the cabinet as a notable guest, or just canceled the event in its entirety. I think that would have been a better decision in the moment.
Dan, you're a Republican donor. The president met with Republican donors, potentially infecting them. Is there anger towards the president, or is the loyalty still there?
Oh, I think the loyalty is still there. And look, I support President Trump. I think he's got better policies and a better forward vision for America than Joe Biden by far, by a long shot. I just think in this instance, it would have been better for him, trying to lead us through a pandemic, which he's done, a good job, in my opinion, for the most part, and lead us to a stronger economy and better economic footing. I think, optics matter, and he should have been a little bit more focused on, everyone, the attendees' health and where we were going, with this virus, and not, just, being a quasi-cavalier in having the fundraiser or attending the fundraiser.
Yeah. Despite growing coronavirus numbers across the nation, President Trump has continued to push to reopen schools, reopen businesses. And during last week's presidential debate, he accused Democrats of wanting to unnecessarily shut down the country. Let's listen to that again.
We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. A lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. People know what to do. They can social distance, they can wash their hands, they can wear masks, they can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, and these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison.
There's no reason necessarily that safety during a global pandemic needs to skew Republican or Democrat. Do you expect that the president's tone, the tone of his campaign, might change now that he has tested positive for coronavirus himself?
I do think that the tone of the campaign are going to change. I think you're going to see less negative and more positive. But as far as the Trump campaign, I think in spirit he's right, with the desire to open up, and that's a pro-growth message. But just it's 2020. It's during the pandemic or post the pandemic, and we've got to have new normals, which involve opening with restrictions, attending but with restrictions. A heavy focus on, okay, this happened. Should we cancel? Should we redesign the event? Should we scale down the event and make it smaller? And so I think that you're going to see a complete reset across the campaign, the economy, and school system.
So much of the president's backing stems from supporters who see him almost as invincible. And we have seen the White House try to manage the president's health news. His doctors today explaining that they were trying to reflect the upbeat attitude of the president as opposed to giving some more of the reality about how concerning his situation actually was on Friday. Do you think that the president and his campaign need to be so concerned about maintaining this image of invincibility?
I actually, look, I think Trump is a warrior, and he's handled more ammunition thrown at him than I think nearly any politician, in the past 100 years. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. And maybe the history books will give him that. In this situation, I think it just shows that he's human. It says, look, this can happen to any of us. Even the best protected American literally can get the virus. So we're all in this together. And so from that environment, I think it's, somewhere where the media and the left should put their armor down a little bit, and we should be compassionate to the president, especially the first lady, for contracting the virus. But I also think, with specificity towards Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I think that they should run their campaigns now, by pulling negative ads, focusing more on the positive, and being a little bit more, humane and open to what's going on with President Trump and his health.
Right.
I think it's a time for resetting.
All right, Dan Eberhart, thank you.
Thank you.